Hi everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode, as well as our over 420 episodes in our catalog. Whether you're watching, whether you're listening, whether you're here in the United States or across the world, we are reaching over 100 countries, over 1,000 cities on our way to helping 3+ billion people over the course of my lifetime. And we're turning that 100 countries of reaching and helping into 300. And we're turning the 1,000 plus cities that we are reaching and helping into 3,000. And it's all because of you. Thank you so much for joining us. It is it's an awesome feeling to be here, to have the opportunity to come into your homes, to come into your earbuds, wherever you may be, whether you're home or whether you're traveling, whether you're at work, whether you're commuting to and from work. Thank you so much for joining the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We are up against the Winter Olympics are coming up very shortly, very soon, and they're going to take place in Italy, or around the Milan area, and different spots for different sports. And having been to Italy twice, uh, actually three times. So twice was for school, and we went to Milan both times, more for business and seeing how business is conducted, how manufacturing is conducted in Italy, because I'm from the United States. Our class is based in the United States, and so we went to Italy to learn international business up close and personal. And it is just an awesome feeling to know that some of the areas that I may have visited with my classmates will be featured locations for the 2026 Winter Olympics. And so this episode's about the Olympics. Uh, the Olympics, they come around every 4 years, I believe. There's the winter, then there's the Summer Olympics, and Olympics really brings together the best of the best. So, the best athletes from all the countries that are participating. And I'm going to refer back to the couple conversations we had here on the show that you'll be able to check out after you watch and listen to this particular episode. Uh, and that is the stress and the amount of time that people who are training for the Olympics, like these are lifelong goals, right? So we've talked about goal setting a little bit. And so for some athletes, individuals, uh, the Olympics is kind of like the pinnacle of their of their career. And so what I mean by that is that's what they want to do. They want a chance to be an Olympian, to win a gold medal, a silver medal, a bronze medal, because these are all the best in the complete entire world that are competing, not just within a particular country, but uh, across the entire world. And so there's so much training, and the conversation that I'm referring to is, let me pull up episode number 317, where we had the opportunity. So that's episode number 317. 317 is the episode number where we were able to interview in person Oksana Baiul, the figure skater, gold medalist at Olympics. And she talked at length about the stress that goes into training. And we're not talking about practicing or training, 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day. These are these are very dedicated people that they're going to school and then they head off and practice. Some practice, then go to school, and then practice again. And so there's so much time and intensity to be perfect. And we know that nobody is absolutely perfect. We know that. Jesus is perfect, not us human beings. But we try to be the best that we can and to come out on top in the Olympics. And so Oksana was talking about how stressful all that training was for years and years and years to have an opportunity to qualify for the Olympics. So that's stressful enough. Then, when an individual qualifies for the Olympics, then there's the performance or the game or the matches, depending on, if we're talking about a tennis match, if we're talking about a figure skating competition. Uh, there's so much that goes into it. And knowing that so many people are watching and listening across the world. Uh, I know growing up with my mom and my dad and my sister, the Olympics was something that we watched. It was something we looked forward to uh, seeing, depending on the location of where the Olympics were taking place. A lot of the Olympic Games take place in a different time zone and many times different countries. So they're recorded or taped. And then some of, not all the events, because there's so many, but some of them are then uh, able to be broadcast on the, usually they call prime time, evening television, where the most people have an opportunity to watch or listen to a broadcast of what is occurring, who's participating and all that. And so Oksana was talking about when she qualified, she made it to the Olympic Games, and then it was her turn to skate. And Nancy Kerrigan, the US Olympian, skated right before Oksana and had one of the highest scores. And so there was even added pressure to Oksana, where not only all the stress from all the practicing and qualifying, make it to the Olympics, qualifying and going forward in the actual competition, to be at the point where she was skating after Nancy Kerrigan for the gold medal is really what it came down to. And Oksana mentioned to us that she had uh some back issues, and so that was bothering her. And so through all that, she was able to compete. But not only that, adaptability is one of the skills that we try to learn as human beings. And Oksana was telling us how she had to adapt her program, her figure skating program. So the 2 to 3 to 4 minutes. So, right, you have all these years and hours of practicing and qualifying, and it comes down to just a few minutes. And then to watch a competitor get one of the highest scores. Oksana, again, as she talks about in episode 317 in our catalog, again, check that out, watch it, listen to it. She had to adapt in the moment. So not only was she going through, pain in her body, she was dealing with the stress of, oh my gosh, if I want to have a chance at a gold medal, I have to do something different in my program, in my routine. So she added an additional uh, an additional jump. That's what I'm going to call them because I don't know like all the specific names of all the different jumps that and the spins and all that. That's what the judges judge the figure skaters on. They have different criterion that they do that. And and so Oksana, in real time, dealing with the pain, all the stress that goes into it, the millions they're watching, not just those inside the ice rink, ice arena, but the people watching all over the world. And she made that modification and she made that adjustment. And so she added this extra jump and she landed it. She did it. And and Oksana ended up winning the gold medal based on her scores, based on the fact that she was able to modify in real time and say in her mind, hey, if I want a chance at this gold medal, I have to do something additional. I need to change something. And so that's something that us as individuals, sometimes we have to uh, sometimes we have to work through. You know, nothing is perfect, so we can plan just like the Olympians, but sometimes we have to modify, and that could be any number of ways and things that we would have to modify on a daily basis. Uh, let's just say that if, and this is just a small example, let's say that you're you're filling out papers for something. Maybe it's a house, maybe it's a car, maybe it's a TV, it's a piano, a guitar, and you're filling it out and you're being asked to fill out the form with a pen. And the store where you're at or location, for the house, the signings, they don't have any pens. And so, did we think to bring a pen or not? And so we may have to modify and say, well, I have a sharpened pencil. Is that okay? Well, not ideal. The fact that we had a pencil, we were able to sign the papers. I know that's a very small example, and it is on the other side of the continuum from what we were talking about with the Olympics. But that's just a modification of sometimes we have to deal with that. Let's say there's a treadmill and we're doing a workout and we're used to walking a certain number, right? So the treadmills you can either make them incline, so it feels like you're walking up a hill, and then there's like the speed at which you're walking. Well, maybe you're used to walking the number 7, but the treadmill you have only goes up to 6. But you can do the uphill, which is what you need to do, what you want to do. And so you just make that modification and say, okay, for this workout, I'm only going to be able to do 6. There's no other way like that I can change that. And so that's what I do. I do the number 6 instead of number 7. It's not going to ruin all my other workouts, but I'm just adapting to the moment, like getting as close to that number as possible. And also getting back to the Olympics, uh, we had on, and this was, yeah, episode number 353. So that's episode number 353 on the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Again, you can watch and listen after you watch and listen to this episode. Uh, we had Nicole Bobek, and she's also an Olympian. And so she uh, went through the rigors and the stress like Oksana did. Now, Nicole, from a medal perspective, may not seem or look as successful as Oksana's, but she's still an Olympian. And there's still so many hurdles and obstacles and qualifications and all the practicing and you know sometimes these individuals for that are participating in the Olympics, that's that might be all they do is practice, school, eat, sleep, practice, school, eat, sleep. It may not have a whole lot of time to have the kid or the adult experience with friends and family. There might be because there's just so much practice that goes into it. And you might say, oh, okay, well, yeah, there's a lot of practice. Well, there's also travel time as well. Because if you're a figure skater, and unless you live near an ice skating or an ice rink, because you're going to play hockey on ice as well, unless unless you have an ice rink that's nearby, it's not like going to the local gym. Uh, yes, you do workout at a gym or a modified gym, uh, but the actual skating and getting used to being on the ice and the different turns, and then there's music that's being played, and you're choreographing your jumps and your spins and your skating. If there's a fast part in a song, so you might skate a little faster, might have a faster or quicker jump and spins, and the slower part might be a little bit slower of the skating. And so there's so many aspects that it's not just like a sport, not taking anything away from, the sport of baseball or basketball where it's pretty straightforward. And for baseball, just need a glove and a ball and a friend or a family member, and you can play catch anywhere. Basketball, may whether there's a gym, whether there's basketball hoops, uh, maybe close, but I would think there'd be a basketball court closer than an ice rink. I don't know that all for sure. Uh, I just, from my understanding, is that an ice rink, there's fewer ice rinks. And so you got to add that into the practice time. So let's say you're doing 2 hours of practice a day and you have to travel an hour each way. That's 4 hours right there of your day. And there's different countries which are joining us. And thank you so much for joining us all over the world. We love you. We thank you for your love and support. Where there's even fewer ice rinks. And so they might have to travel even further. And so I'm just bringing these up just to talk about there in this season of Olympics that's coming up here very soon, that there's a lot of sacrifice that goes in to wanting to be an Olympian. And the thing is, the chance of, let's say, 100,000 people want to be an Olympian, compete at the Olympics. Well, we see that there's so few that actually make it to the Olympics. And so there's so many that go through all that same stress, uh, practice, the driving back and forth, uh, all that, and don't get an opportunity to compete as an Olympian. They have to wait till the next Olympics, which is years away. And so I think it's really times like these that make us reflect a little bit on our own lives and thinking about how much time do we spend practicing, traveling to and from. There's some people that have to take an airplane to and from work every day. There's some people that live in in states close by, but let's say they have a TV show or they're a news anchor in one of the big markets, maybe New York City, maybe Miami, maybe Chicago, Los Angeles, San Diego. And so maybe their commute is on an airplane every day, or a subway, or a train, or a bus, or a car, or an airplane, or a helicopter. I'm sure I might be missing one or more transportation methods. But when we think about all that time, that goal has to be worth it. So if you're a news anchor and that's your job, and maybe the organization pays for your flight back and forth, or maybe they rent you an apartment or a condo to live in during the week, and then you're back home with family on the weekends. I'm just throwing examples out. I remember sitting in the San Diego airport. This was several years ago, and I don't know what news organization this individual works for or worked for, but it was a basically it's a TV show. Or we have TV and the news cycles 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we were waiting for our plane to arrive to take us to Los Angeles to get a bigger plane, then to go on to our final destination. Hers is different than mine. And I just overheard a conversation with her saying, I wouldn't be taking the, because it was a red eye flight. There was San Diego to LA and then LA to wherever you're going because of the time change and different time zones. We're going to be arriving in the morning. And I overheard her say, I wouldn't be taking this red eye, um, but I have to be on camera at a certain hour. And so again, I don't know what news station it was. All I knew was what I heard. And and so that was probably someone who was on TV in one capacity or another. And so she lived in San Diego, but was going to her work, and it was a Sunday night. Uh, was going to be going to New York, and so that's where I'm getting at as far as the goal has to be worth it, and so I have no idea what the family situation is or was, or I'm going off of literally hearing a couple sentences of just happened where I was sitting, and people were just gathered close to the gate, ready for the airplane to arrive. The one with the propellers, by the way, too, which uh, those scare me a lot. I remember, well, they they verge. I will here in a second, but it's kind of funny and interesting. Uh, and so to hear that, so she was traveling to and from work. So my guess is that wherever she was working probably had a hotel or an apartment or a condo where this person was able to live during the week and then flying out. Because I mean, you're talking, New York to LA or LA to New York. You're talking about 5 hour flight. And so if somebody were to do that, that would be 10 hour, like at least 10 hours a day. If it was every day flying San Diego to LA to New York, New York to LA to San Diego. So that was just my thoughts on a situation. Now on the plane, uh, I was watching, and I like the sport of baseball, and the hometown team was the Cleveland Indians. Now it's the Cleveland Guardians. Well, it had been quite a long time since the Guardians or the Indians at the time had a good record and made it to the playoffs, let alone to the World Series and won it. It's been a really long time. And so somebody made a movie about them making it to the playoffs. Uh, and in the movie, one of the ways that the team was made to travel because the owner wanted to move the team from Cleveland, Ohio, somewhere warmer down south. So the owner in the movie found what they thought were not great players and thinking, okay, they could justify a move or a sale of the team with a really bad record. They could say, look, this was the record and we're going to move the team. And so the owner was trying everything. So they started off, flying. Um, and the plane that they were flying in uh has the propellers, and they were in the one scene in the movie, the team was waiting for the plane, and they looked over, they saw a jet, and they said, "Oh, we get to travel in style." Uh, and then somebody from the team said, "Oh, no, no, that's not your plane. Your plane's over here." And they looked over there, and well, and and there was one of the maintenance workers with duct tape, putting duct tape around, the propeller. So the propeller needed something to help keep it together. Uh, and so that was the one example. And then the second example I had in the professional realm with one of the organizations I was working with. We were taking we had flown down commercial, so like in a regular jet. I don't remember which airline it was. It doesn't matter. But in the organization, they were going to be taking us to their locations where they make the product that they sell. And and so we were taking their private jet or private plane. So that's what it was. It was private plane. And so somebody at work said, "Oh, you're going on the private plane?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's not a jet," because people think like, "Oh, you're flying private." Uh, and they're like, "No, it's not. It's not what you think of. It's not. Uh, it has the propellers." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I got to find the picture. I have it somewhere. I don't know where it's at, where I was able to get a picture with the pilot right outside the plane. Um, it ended up, I mean, it was like, I think it was like a 40-minute, 35, 40-minute flight from where we were at to where we were going, and then flew back after the tour. So a 45 or 35, 40-minute flight each way. That if somebody was commuting that amount and it was being paid for, because it's not inexpensive to fly on any type of a plane, no matter what kind of plane, whether it's one with the propellers or whether it's a 747, uh, or these jumbo jets. Uh, so all that to say, getting back to close out our show on the Olympics, there is a past Olympian. Her name is Laurie Hernandez. Ended up winning a gold medal at, I believe it was the 2016 Olympics. So she's a gymnast, and we have a child in our home. That's our child, uh, and so we like to read to our child. My wife and me, we like to read to our child, and we came across this book, and I believe it was my wife that came across it, the book was written by Laurie Hernandez. And what I didn't know until literally right before started this show is, so the main character in the book, his name is Zoe. And I was like, okay, Laurie Hernandez. Um, so I just looked it up real quick. Her middle name's Zoe, and that's the main character in the book. And I had no idea. I had no idea that's her middle name. Uh, and so Zoe in the book, reflecting on Laurie, talking about all the practice and how yeah, the balance beam was one of her best. Uh, One of her best. You know, they have the rings, they have the floor competition, they have the balance beam, they have the horse where they jump and do flips, and they have the bars, the taller one and the shorter one. And so the balance beam is the one that Laurie was really good at. And in the story, Zoe, also known as Laurie Hernandez, uh, goes through how she went to gymnastics when she was growing up and she fell. And so she told her family, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to gymnastics again. And her parents said, let's go get some ice cream and celebrate. And Zoe was like, well, what's there to celebrate? Uh, I fell and I don't feel good about that. I don't know if I want to go back. And her parents said, you did fall, so we're celebrating that you fell. And we know that sometimes we're gonna fall and sometimes we're not gonna fall. So they went out, they had ice cream, the story continued to the end where she didn't fall. And I think that can be implemented in all of our lives. There's times we're gonna fall. We're gonna fall short. We may physically fall. And then there's gonna be times that we're not, and that we don't fall. And so I just want to leave you with that. Have fun watching the 2026 Winter Olympics, Milan, Italy. And just think about that. Sometimes we're gonna fall, and sometimes we're not. A lot of it for me is in my mind and where I fall short. And then there's sometimes where I don't fall short. And we have to be just understanding of that. So to bring this home, a child had an appointment, went to the appointment, it didn't work out that day, that time. And I said, let's go get some ice cream. And my child was like, or her child, my wife and I's child. I say mine, she's ours, our child. And she was like, well, she's a child, so she was naturally like, oh yeah, like ice cream. But she was kind of like, well, why? And I said, remember that book we read the other night, which was the Laurie Hernandez book, the Zoe book? Do you remember how Zoe fell and went and celebrated? And she said, oh yeah. And I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go get ice cream. We're going to celebrate that we went to your appointment and it didn't work out last time. And so there's going to be some times where it does work out. In fact, way more than those that don't. And so I invite you when you can, to take maybe a situation or an event like Zoe, Laurie Hernandez book, main character, and celebrate. We already have enough negativity, division in the world. So why don't we just celebrate the little things and say, yeah, it still work out. I'm sure growing up, same thing for me. I'm sure I went to appointments, doctor, dentist, I don't, and they didn't work out. For sports, there were times where I made the team and times that I didn't make the team that I wanted to make. And so we just have to learn and do the best we can. No, it's not going to be overnight. No, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. No, it's not fun. But let's just have a little fun. Let's celebrate sometimes those things that don't work out because that might be the very thing, that celebration, that, going for ice cream or whatever for you is a treat. Maybe that's the very thing that's going to help that child, that person go back the next time to that appointment and do it and think of, I'm brave. I came and it didn't work out and now I'm back and it's going to work out. So thank you so much for the love and support. We have again over 400 episodes, over 420 episodes to be exact. Have fun watching the Winter Olympics coming up. It's definitely going to be something that's going to be fun to watch, and we cheer for countries, but we just cheer for people doing the best they can, and that's how life is for us. We just do the best we can. There's nothing else we can do. And so I'm Justin Allen Hayes, Voices for Voices. So until next time, be a voice for you or somebody in need. We'll see you next time. We love you. We're thinking about you. And if you can, text, call, group chat, social media posts, let people know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We would love to have them as subscribers as well. So, thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share. We love you. We'll see you on the next episode. Farewell for now.